The Ultra Glide. I don't know why we didn't catch on that something was really going on, or was really going to happen this time. Mama and Dad started acting real strange right after they talked to Grandma Sands. First, Mama started with writing in a notebook and adding things up and subtracting things. Then Dad and Joey and Rufus and me started driving all over Flint, buying all the things we needed for the brown bomber. We stopped at Genesee Junkyard and we bought a new antenna for the radio and four new used tires. Then we stopped at Mr. Biller's garage and had the tires put on the car. Then we stopped at the Yankee store and bought some spark plugs and some oil and antifreeze. Then we got our own next door neighbor, Mr. Johnson, to help put on all that stuff on the car. Then we washed and waxed the brown bomber. When Byron walked by, we were working on it, and he said, "Y'all done real good. It looks like a turd on wheels. But I gotta admit, now it looks like a polished turd." We ignored him. While Joey cleaned the windows, me and Rufus washed the seats, even the parts that were torn away. But the more we washed them, the worse they looked. And Dad ended up going back to the Yankee store and buying some brown and white seat coverings for the front seat. The brown bomber looked great. Not almost new, not almost 15 years old either. We brought Mama out and showed her, and she gave us one of those hand over the mouth smiles. "Well, folks," said Dad, and we all knew he was getting ready to cut up. "All it needs now is the final touch, that special something that sets apart from all of the other buckets of bolts on the road, the one piece of all American engineering that shows that this fine automobile is worthy of the name Brown Bomber." Any guesses on what it is? A new hood thing? I asked. The thing in the middle of the hood was a long chrome rocket that pointed out over the road. The only thing what was wrong with it was that one of the wings of the rocket was broken off. Like everything else, Dad had a crazy explanation for that. He told us that right after he got the car from Uncle Bud, both wings were there, but that he had taken it to a special garage and had one ring scientifically and mathematically taken off. When we asked him why, he told us that way, when we came home from a long trip and we've been coming in on a wing and a prayer, that's the kind of junk Dad thinks is funny. "No," Dad answered my question. "It's not a new hood thing. The one on there is perfectly fine." "Joey, what's your guess?" "I don't know, Daddy. I don't think anything can make the bomber look any better. I think it's perfect." "Oh, bless you, sweetheart. Rufus, your turn. What do you think?" "I don't know, Mr. Watson. I like y'all car just fine." I knew there was something I liked about that boy. "All right, Winona, what's your guess?" "I don't know either," Mama said and rolled her eyes. "I think the car is purr. Mama was cutting up too much. Oh my God, I can't even say it. "Real cute, Willona. Well, since Kenneth and Mama have insulted the great brown one, I guess that leaves us up to Rufus and Pumpkin here to put the final piece on." Dad handed the keys to Rufus. "Rufus, you open the trunk, and Pumpkin, there's a small bag in there, and you have to honor of putting on what's inside of it on it." Rufus popped the trunk open, and Joey took a small paper bag out. She turned her back to everyone and looked inside. "Oh, Daddy, I love it." "Do you know where it goes?" "Yes, Daddy." "Okay, time's a wasting. Put it on." She put her hand in the bag without pulling out. She said, "And now, the thing that makes this car more perfect." Dad helping Joey cut up, he said, "The final touch." Joey repeated, "The final touch." "The height of technology. The height of technology?" "The ultimate in American knowledge. The ultimate in American knowledge." Mama couldn't take it anymore. "Oh, for God's sakes, Daniel, what is it?" "It's the pinnacle of Western civilization. It's the knuckle of Western civilization. Now, Joey, dazzle 'em, girl." Joey pulled in her hand in the bag, and said, "It's a smelly green pine tree." Mama went, "Ugh," and walked back into the house. Joey hung the smelly pine tree from the rearview mirror, scooted out of the car, and let me and Rufus smell our fingers. But Dad wasn't through adding things to the brown bomber. On Saturday morning, Joey and I got up real early to watch cartoons, and Dad was already brushing his teeth and shaving. I went to the bathroom to watch him. I love the way that shaving soap smells. Hi, Dad. Morning, Kenny. How'd you sleep? Dad said with his toothbrush in his mouth. Oh, okay, I guess. Then Dad pulled one of his famous tricks on me. He said, "Kenny, look." And he pointed out in the hallway. Even before I could think, my head turned around and I followed Dad's finger. And when I saw nothing and looked back, Dad was smiling a mile a minute, acting like he hadn't done anything. But I noticed that his toothbrush was gone. I let him know that he didn't fool me. "Dad, how come you always hide your toothbrush? Why don't you just keep yours with ours?" Dad laughed. "Well, Kenny, I guess because I don't keep my toothbrush with the rest of yours because, unlike your mother, I was a little boy once myself." I thought about that for a second and then said, "What does that mean?" Dad picked up my toothbrush and said, "Look at this. Not only is it an instrument perfect for brushing teeth, it has other wonderful uses too. You see, Kenny, I know that in this little boy's eyes, there isn't anything in the world that is better for general cleaning than a toothbrush. And the greatest thing about it is that with a good rinse afterward, no one can tell what it was used for. I also know the best toothbrush for cleaning stuff is always somebody else's. So rather than wondering what my toothbrush has cleaned, I think it's better. It just only goes in the places that I know about. Dad was right. I caught Byron using mine once to shine up some quarters and another time to brush Blackie's teeth. I didn't really care about but Blackie didn't like it. That was the only time he ever growled at someone in his in his own family. Dad was stirring the soap dish with his shaving brush, and I got close to the sink to smell the soap. Dad painted his face with the soap and then bent down and rinsed off. I know it sounds crazy, but he always did this twice. He said it really made your beard super soft. He learned that 'cause he used to work in a barber shop when he was a little boy. That's where he also learned that if you go to the barber shop, you've got to make sure your neck is real clean. Otherwise, the barber talks about you like a dog after you leave. "So," Dad said, as he put the second coat of soap on his face, "let me guess why you're standing so close. Could it be that you want me to soap your face up and hold you up while you shave it off? It's been a long time since we've done that." "Aw, man, I'm way too old for that. Besides, I'm starting to get a real mustache. Look." I stuck my upper lip out for Dad to see. "Where?" Dad leaned down and looked real hard. "I can't see it." "Here, look." "Maybe if you got closer to the light." Dad bent over and picked me up in the mirror. I automatically turned my head sideways when I saw my reflection. Some of this time I forgot about my lazy eye. "Well, I don't believe it. If you squint your eyes and look real hard, there's no doubt about it. This boy's got a real mustache going on here." I didn't know Dad really could see it or not, but I knew it was there. He put me down. "Won't be long before you and I have to share the mirror in the morning, huh?" I couldn't help it. Even though I knew he might be kidding, I broke out in a real big smile and nodded my head up and down. Dad started shaving. "Well, just so there's no problems, I've got seniority on you, so I get the bathroom first. Deal?" "Deal." When Dad finished, he asked me, "You too old for a good little old spice?" He slapped the cologne on me and said, "I don't want your mother to know I put aftershave on you. With what you smelling so good and that new mustache coming out, I don't want her blaming me when all the little girls come attacking you." I twisted my face up. I walked into the living room to watch cartoons. But when we got there, Dad kept going and said, "If your mother gets up before I'm back, just tell her I won't be long." "Well, where are you going, Daddy?" Joey asked. Dad gave his famous answer, "Out," and closed the door behind him. Dad missed Felix the cat and Soupy Sales and Beanie and Cecil and the Ray Dean show and Betty Boop. He missed Mama getting up and Byron getting up. When he finally got back, we were all sitting on the couch watching the worst cartoon ever made, Clutch Cargo. Dad walked in and turned off the TV. Dad? Sorry, kids. Everybody's got to come outside right now. You too, Daddy-O. And you too, Alona. I've got a surprise. Dad made us stop at the front door and get in line, one behind the other. Mama first, then Byron, then me, then Joey. Except for bald-headed Bi, we all were laughing and wondering what Dad's surprise was when he opened the door. Following Dad, we walked to the front porch steps and stood on the sidewalk like a little parade. I bet the neighbors wondered what the weird Watsons were doing this time. All right, Dad said. When I say it, I want everybody to close their eyes. And I'm warning you, anyone who looks before I tell you is going to get it. My eyes, of course, would be sealed. If bomb exploded under me, I'd be standing in a hole with my eyes sealed. Even my head got blown off, I'd still have my eyes sealed. Here's that kid's head. Yep, his eyes locked tight and safe. Byron said I was stupid for listening to everything Mama and Dad said. But if I was stupid, why was he the one who always got a great big, bald, shiny, knotted up head? Dad said, Okay, now hold the person in front of you by the shoulders. Willona, you get to hold on mine. This is only going to take a minute, he said. That last part because Mama rolled her eyes and was real close to stopping everything by turning around and going back into the house. All right, close 'em. Mama gave her last straw look and closed her eyes, and so did we. Dad shuffled up us ahead a little bit, and then we all stopped. It was real hard not to peek. Okay, keep 'em shut. I'm not playing. I heard the car door open. I heard a loud pop. Then I heard Byron say, Aw, man. Me and Joey cracked up. We knew a certain person had peeked and got popped right smack jab on the bald head. Finally, Dad said, That's it. Open your eyes. What do you think? Dad had opened the driver's side of the brown bomber and was standing with one arm pointing into the inside. In the middle of the dashboard, to the right of the steering wheel, something real big was sticking out. Dad had taken one of our giant towels and set it over the thing. Everybody stood there staring. Finally, Mom said, Daniel, what on earth is that towel doing in there? The towel's fine, Willona. Aren't you wondering what's underneath it? Yeah, Dad, what is that thing? I asked. Well, Kenneth, since you seem to be the only one with any curiosity, I guess you'll be the one who gets to unveil the bomber's latest edition. I crawled in the front seat, raised the corner of the towel so no one could see what I was under it. I couldn't believe it. Dad, it's great! The rest of them, Byron included, crowded up to the brown bomber's door. Mama had a worried face. What have you done to this car now, Daniel? What's under that towel? I grabbed the corner of the towel. Ladies and gentlemen. Byron interrupted me when he saw I was going to tease them. He said, Oh, man, just pull the blank towel off so I can get out of here. I ain't got all day to listen to your mess. He was always in a hurry to get out someplace, but never had anywhere else to go. Byron, how many times have I told you about saying ain't? And Kenneth, you stop playing and move the towel this minute, Mama said. I talked real fast before Mama could get any madder. Ladies and gentlemen, the newest addition to our brown bomber. I whipped off the towel. Our very own drive-around record player. Mama went, Oh, my God, and gave Dad a dirty look, and then walked back in the house. Joey squealed, Oh, boy! Even cool old Byron forgot how cool he was and screamed out, Aw, man, this is too hip. No one's got one of these. Beatty don't even have one in his Cadillac. Too much, man, way too much. Joey and Byron climbed into the car on either side of me. We all said, Turn it on, Daddy. I knew Dad was kind of disappointed by the way Mama had acted. She really hurt his feelings by walking off like that. Some of the time, I think she forgot how sensitive Dad was. Even though he acted cheery with us, I knew it wasn't the same for him. I knew if Mama had stayed and hadn't gotten off mumbling about the money, he would have been having a lot more fun. But Dad forgot all this stuff was real quick and got excited about showing off the record player. Dad was like me. He loved putting on a show, or as Mama said, we both loved acting like the fool. Dad was the best at it though, and I couldn't wait until I was good at it as he was. Well, 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 Dad said, leaning down in the car. I see you three have the ultimate in taste. I see you've chosen the top of the line ice cream of the crop, the True Tone AB 700 model, the Ultra Glide. We too, cause right in front of the record player, the big red letters, it said AB 700 Ultra Glide. As I am certain you are aware, the problem is that with the past, this new technology in automotive sound has been road vibration, interfering with the accuracy and dispersal of the phonetic or the phonic interpretations. Huh? Byron said. Dad said, well, in other words, I'm sure you know that in good old days, every time you drove over a bump with one of these things, the needle would jump and scratch the record. Me and Joey played along. We know, we know. And as I'm sure your fine, intelligent looking family, as this one, it is Mr. and Mrs. Watson, and your son, isn't it? Oh no, Joetta said as she pointed to Byron. This isn't our son. This is just a little juvenile delinquent boy that we feel sorry for, let follow us around some of the time. Our real son has hair. Even this didn't bother Byron, who was amazed by Bomber's latest edition. Dad kept imitating the guy who sold him the record player. Yes, as I'm sure a nice family like this one is aware, it was only the last year that the scientists of Autotronic Industries made a brilliant, beautiful, breathtaking breakthrough and developed a suitable system for the controlling these vibrations. Yeah, I said. I saw it last night on the news. Walter Cronkite said it was a miracle. Dad laughed. Precisely, Mr. Watson. Walt has two of these babies in his car and one on his motorcycle. We know, we know. Yes, the vibration problem has overcome by the exclusive vibrodynamic lateral anti-interior dampening system. Dad had memorized that word because right on the arm of the record player it said VDLAI, dampening patented. Come on, Daddy, turn it on. Stop teasing. Now, Mr. Watson, be patient. And tell that little delinquent that follows you around that if he touches one more knob on that record player, I'm going to pull his fingers off. Byron mumbled and sat back in his seat. Before I dazzle you with the symphonic sound of this unit, let me point out to some of its less appreciated features. Oh, please do. Oh, man, just turn the blank thing on. If I gotta listen to all this, I'm gonna go into the house and get some real cool sounds. Byron opened the passenger door and ran into the house. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Watson, I'd like to direct your attention to the rear of your classic automobile. Me and Joey crawled up in the back seat and looked at the back window. On the rear shelf, a hole had been cut and was covered with one of the same stuff that was on the screen door. I can't see you're wondering what that is. Well, let me explain. What we have here, believe it or not, is a second speaker. And I can tell you, all the intelligent looking on your face, Mrs. Watson, that you have grasped that speaker is not placed in the rear deck haphazardly. No, ma'am. Some people think we just have a hole hacked there by an old mechanic, but nothing could be further from the truth. The opening is scientifically and mathematically positioned as a factory trained technician to enhance the TT-AB 700's true high-fidelity sound. Wow! Byron exploded through the front door with an armful of 45s and Mama right on his tail. Byron Watson, don't you stomp on those stairs like that, and don't you slam that screen door. She trailed Byron all the way to the car, fussing at him the whole way. I knew she was using Byron as an excuse to come back out here and see what was going on. I guess all the laughing and fun we were having made her want to join in. Now that she was back, Dad started to really cutting up. Well, 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 Mrs. Watson, Dad said, but not to Mama, to Joey. I see your beautiful young daughter has decided to join us. And not a moment too soon, either. Why don't you scoot over a little bit and let her in? Joey loved this chance to pretend she was Mama's mom. She patted the seat right next to her and said, Come on in, honey. This is really cool. Mama slid in under the steering wheel with a halfway smile on her face. Wonderful, wonderful, Dad said. Byron lifted the record that was already on the turntable and started putting one of his own cool songs on. Put it back, son. You'll get your turn. First, we have a special request from a certain young lady to a certain handsome young man. If you'll excuse me, ma'am, I'll just reach over and get this show on the road. Dad reached over, past Mama to start the car, but on the way, his hand kind of accidentally on purpose brushed her chest. Boy, did they think we were blind? Even though Dad thought he was being slick, everybody saw him. Mom puckered up her lips to squeeze down a smile and crossed her arms across her chest. Joetta giggled, and me and Byron scrunched up our faces. Mama did the fakety little slap of her hand and smiled. Dan turned the key, and the brown bomber fired up. Okay, young lady, here's the special number you requested. Dad couldn't help himself, but he started imitating the disc jockey. Here is the man with the patter and the spin with the platter. Why, it doesn't matter, 'cause the world's getting fatter. I'm the man with the tune that'll take you to the moon. That'll make your heart swoon. I'll hold you like a spoon. I'm the man with the jive. Byron chirped in. Ain't that the whole natural truth? But Dad didn't miss a beat. Put your love thing in drive. Bring your little world alive. Mama slapped the car seat. Daniel, start the record. Oh, all right, all right. Dad stopped his rhyming, not because Mama told him, but because I bet he ran out of stupid poems. But first, let me tell you, people out there in Radio Land, that this number one was requested by Miss Willona Sands for the wonderful, wonderful man in her life, her big daddy of love, Daniel Watson. We at Flint's only soul station, WAMM, dedicated this song to Daniel from Willona. Spin it, maestro. Dad reached over past Mama to start the record player. Joey grabbed my arm with one hand and squealed into her other one. Byron was grinning like a giant bald-headed kindergarten baby. Mama had her arms crossed but was starting to smile. She brought one hand up to cover her mouth. My foot was tapping on the brown bomber's floor a mile a minute, and I couldn't make it stop no matter what I did. I guess I was grinning pretty hard. Dad's hand touched the knob and that said start written on it. And before he turned it, he pulled his hand back and said, First, however, we all screamed, Daddy! Aw, man, come on, Dad. Daniel. But Dad wasn't through yet. He couldn't rush him. In fact, the more you complained, the longer he'd take. He put the hand up and stopped the noise. But first, we at WAMM, want to apologize for the 9 other women who called requesting the love songs to be dedicated to Daniel Watson. If they stay tuned, we'll play their songs later in the evening. Mama said, That's it. She started climbing out of the car. It was fun. That's it, though not a serious one. Dad blocked the door and finally turned the knob and that said start. Then he got into the back seat. We all froze. Even the sound of the brown bomber seemed to get quieter. The VDLAI arm from the record player lifted itself, moved towards the 45 that was on the turntable. The arm dropped on the hollow little boom and bounced around the car. A moment of silence, and then the most beautiful notes of music I've ever heard. They came from the car in the back seat car this time. Boom da boom da boom da boom da boom da boom da boom. The notes were deep and strong. They felt like we were sitting in a giant bass fiddle. Mama screamed and put both hands over her mouth. She recognized her song. After a couple notes, the guy on this record started saying, Under the Boardwalk. And I could turn around and look because it sounded like he was right in the back seat with Dad. We sat in the car for almost 2 hours. Everybody got a chance to go in the house and get their favorite records. Even though we had a pretty good record player in the house, it couldn't compare with the sounds that came from the scientifically, mathematically put in speakers that the Brown Bomber had. With the Ultra Glide car cast a spell on all of the weird Watsons. Byron was always saying that Mama couldn't stand to see anyone having too much fun. But to be fair to her, I have to say that she stopped us from having fun in steps instead of doing it all at once. First of all, she thought music was too loud and made us turn it down some. And after that, all of us kids got to play 4 songs each. I played Yakety Yak all 4 times. She made us get out of the car, and she and Dad played Nat King Cole and Dinah Washington and other mushball singers. Then she said to Dad, "Did you tell them yet?" Oh. I leaned into the car to get a look at Mama's stomach. Sounded like the way Byron and me found out we were going to have a sister. Everyone's ears jumped up. Something big was going on. Dad wasn't too comfortable with these things like this and said, "No, it can wait." "No, it can't." Mama let the last song finish, then turn it off, Daniel. "Children, in a little in a little bit, Daddy's going to get some vacation time, and we're going to drive to Alabama to Grandma Sands, and it's going to keep Byron for the summer. And if things don't work, then he'll stay there for the next school year." This was too good to be true. A long trip in the Brown Bomber and no Byron for the whole summer and probably the whole year because when it came to Byron, nothing ever worked out. Byron looked at Mama and Dad with his mouth wide open. "We've been telling you, Byron. You've been given warning after warning and chance after chance to straighten up. But instead of improving, you're getting worse. Do I have to remind you the things that you've done this last year?" Byron still didn't close his mouth. Mama started ticking off the things that Byron had called his latest fantastic adventures. "You've cut school so much that Mr. Adams has come here 3 times to see what's wrong with you. You've been lighting fires. You've been taking change out of my purse. You've been in fights. You had that trouble at Mitchell's food fair, and that's that. Probably with Marianne Hill, you set mouse traps in the backyards for birds. You fell out of that tree when you were trying to see if the poor cat always landed on its feet. You got a conch, and you joined a gang. There's just too much, Byron. We can't have all this nonsense going on." I hope these weren't the only latest fantastic adventures that Mama knew about. I could list about 100 more. "That's why Grandma Sands is going to look after you for a while." "You're about to run us crazy." Mama changed the tone of her voice. "You're going to like Birmingham, Byron. It's a lot different from Flint. There's lots of nice boys your age down there that you can be friends with. There's lots of fishing and hunting that you can do. There's a lot better there than I love that city. Your grandma tells me it's quiet in her old neighborhood. She has that stuff on TV isn't happening around her, just like I remember being safe and it's quiet. And there's no buphead." Mama and Dad had threatened to send Byron to Grandma Sands about 1,000,000 times, but never thought it would happen. This was 3 good reasons. First reason was Alabama was about 2 million miles away from Flint, and by knew Mama wouldn't let him ride the bus that far alone. He also knew it would be just about impossible for her to sit on a bus with him for 3 days to get there. Second reason was that Mama and Dad were always threatening to do stuff to Byron, and that everybody knew they wouldn't do it. Dad had been keeping count and be keeping a countdown on how many more months it would be before they could force him to join the army, but we knew they wouldn't do that. But the biggest reason Byron and Joey and me thought they'd never see him sent to Alabama was they heard so many horrible stories about how strict Grandma Sands was. The thought of living with her was so terrible that your brain would throw it out as soon as it came in. Well, Byron's brain had better get used to it. We all knew by the way they got in the Brown Bomber ready, and by the way Mama's voice sounded, that they meant it this time. The big, cool baby finally shut his mouth and ran into the house. He slammed the door so hard so he could be all we heard him say real clear is the S word. And Joey said, "Ooh," and Dad started to go after him, but Mama said, "Let him go, Daniel. He better get as much of that nonsense out of his system as he can. Grandma Sands won't be putting up with any of that mess."